I'm Ted Gardner, and we're here at the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County, and I'm interviewing Lucille Bright. Have the honor of interviewing Lucille, and it is the 25th of January 2007, and we're at the main library, and our camera operator today is Dennis Daly, who's on the staff here at the library. He's a historian and a scholarly guy, and running a very nice program, and I've been very fortunate to have I don't know how many I've done now, maybe 30, maybe 32 interviews. And I've met so many wonderful people and had fun with your brother. And now that you're here, tell us where you were born, Lucille.
I was born in Covington, Kentucky.
Okay.
You want to know the date?
That's up to you.
Well, it's all right, October the 30th, 1922.
1922.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Give my age away.
Oh, you're older than your brother then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, isn't that? Okay.
He was a baby. No, Audrey. Audrey, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were born in Covington, and where did you start school?
I started school at the 5th District in Covington and ended up at Holmes High School in Covington.
Okay, all right.
I didn't go to college.
Pardon?
I did not go to college.
Oh, you did not go to college. Well, you know, that's not uncommon in those days.
That's right.
And so you went through the 5th District School. Did you go all the way through that?
That was elementary.
That was elementary. Then where?
And Holmes High.
Okay, then did you finish high school? And oh, that's great. So let's see, 1920. You must have been in the class of 1940.
40 and a half. We had half year
Oh, you
classes
did?
then.
Okay, all right. Well, I was in my high school class of 39.
Okay.
So we're in the same area. See, that's wonderful. We remember the Depression days.
Yes.
Whoa. Those were interesting times.
But you know, we didn't know really because everybody else was in the same position, you know.
Everybody was in the same ship. You bet.
Exactly. So.
And you know, we didn't really think about it as being destitute or anything like that.
No, I didn't really.
No, everybody worked, and
We played and did everything normal.
and there were certain things that, you know, we didn't have, but who needed them, you know, and that sort of thing. Well, that, I know exactly how you feel, and then in 1940 and a half, you left Holmes High, and then what happened?
Then I worked. I worked in the crew tire. I worked for, first I was on the elevators. And
Operator?
that's when they operated them. I started there, and then I was approached by the CEO of David Joseph Company that was on the 41st floor, and then I got a position there.
Shoe manufacturer.
They were in steel and chickens.
Oh, that's right.
They had the whole 41st floor, the crew tire.
Isn't that, well, that's interesting. So you were sort of on the ground floor, on an upper floor with a...
I got on the upper floor.
With a pioneering business sort
Exactly.
of too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that must have been very interesting.
I don't know if they're still in business or not.
Well, the name is
It's been so
still
long.
there, but I don't know, I agree with you, I don't know if there is or not. I know David Joseph Jr. Has since passed away, but what did you do with the Joseph Company?
I was in the front where the PB, I think they call it PBX, where you answered all the phones, you know,
Yes.
and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was a receptionist like that.
Oh, wonderful. I'll bet you met a lot of interesting people. Yeah, that's good. That's
Enjoyed
good.
it while I was there.
Oh, I should say. And then,
Then I went to Chicago on a vacation,
okay.
and I was sitting in her office, and this lady came up to me and asked me if I could dance out of a clear blue sky. And I said, well, yeah, everybody could dance then, you know.
Sure.
I danced my shoe soles off. And anyway, so I said yes, just thinking she meant could I dance, you know, do ballroom dancing.
Sure, foxtrot and so forth.
So she said, well, we're opening a new club here in Chicago, and we'd like for you to come and try out
Wow.
in a line.
How about that?
And I had never danced. Back then they called them lines.
Lines.
You had 8 girls, you know.
Sure.
And
Like the Rockettes.
yeah, only much smaller.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, so well, I called my mom, you know, at home, because we were. I mean, back then you were at home and you were just treated like you were 15 or 14 years of age. You minded your parents, you know.
That's right.
So I had this friend, you know, the lady that I had met, her name was Betty, and so she lived there, and she said, well, stay and try it out and see if you like it. So I called Mom, and she said, oh my. But anyway, so.
Never thought of that, huh?
So she said, well, and she said, do you think you'd like to? And I said, well, I said, something new, you know.
Sure.
And anyway, so that started my dancing career.
Oh.
And I just kind of learned as I went along, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I had friends who had taken dancing lessons that were financially much better off than I was when we were children, you know. And anyway, and I'd go to dancing school with them, and I picked up things from them. But I was always danced, you know,
Good.
just always danced.
Oh,
And
that's fun.
still do when I get the leg going.
So how long were you in the...
So I was in Chicago for about 6 months, I think, and I got homesick.
Mhm.
So I came home, and then I danced at the Lookout House, if you remember the old Lookout House,
Yeah, sure.
in northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
Then I danced in Boston, and Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And then my girlfriend that I danced with in Chicago called me and said, how about going on USO tour? Well, the war was over. We had talked about it a lot, but my mother would not allow me to go because of having 3 brothers in the service.
Oh.
She had enough worries
Yes, I
at the
should
time.
say.
So this was 1946. In December, Betty and I left for New York
How
on our great adventure.
about...
And we had to have all of our immunization shots
Shots and
before we
everything.
went to New York, you know, which wasn't too bad. I thought, oh my goodness, all these shots, you know, it wasn't that bad. But anyway, we went to New York and rehearsed, and of course, in all the dancing that I'd ever done, we'd never done tap dancing.
Oh.
And so when the choreographer had each one of us step forward to do the time step, guess what? I couldn't do the time step. Anyway, so I'm shuffling my feet, you know, and she says, you don't tap dance, do you? And I said, no, I don't. I thought you don't know that. Anyway, so I got through that. She said, you'll learn. It wasn't a very difficult tap routine anyway, so I learned real fast. But anyway, so there's all these professional dancers there with me. Betty had dancing for years. And so then she said to all the other girls, Lucille will be the lead person in the opening of the show. I had to go out on this big stage all by myself in front of all these boys at night and leave, because I could walk. She said, she can walk. You can dance, but she can walk. And now I got a bad But anyway, so that was the beginning, and we left New York on a train and went through Chicago. My friend Betty that I had stayed with in Chicago when I was dancing, she met me in Chicago with all kinds of food and everything, you know, for our trip on to San Francisco. Then we were briefed there they called them Mae West then.
Yes.
And anyway, so,
Life jackets.
yeah, and they said, you know, taught us how to use it if we had to jump out of the plane. I said, well, I'll just go down with the plane. I'm not going to use this anyway. I'm not jumping out of a plane. But I had to wear it anyway. But anyway, so we landed in Honolulu, and then we went on. I was trying to remember if it was Kwajalein or Iwo Jima that is just the length of an airfield.
Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima, okay.
Yeah.
So we landed on Iwo Jima, and we were all going, the tail of the plane is on the water, and we're landing the front wheels, you know. We went, oh. And anyway, but we made it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we were on Iwo Jima. Of course, they'd already planted the flag, you know,
Yes,
and everything.
right.
And we went from there. I can't remember what other island to refuel.
Did you do a show on?
No, we didn't do a show. We just landed there.
Oh, I see. Did you get down and did you see the volcanic
No, they
sand
didn't let
and
us
all
off.
that? They didn't let you off?
We just landed, I think, to refuel.
Oh, I see.
And anyway, and then we went on to Japan was our destination, and so we landed in Tokyo, and we did shows there, and we went to we were allowed out some, but they had very close, kept you very close. You weren't allowed to eat anything that they didn't give you for your meal because of the possibility of illness, you know, and everything.
Right.
And so anyway, but we were allowed, and we went to the Emperor's Gardens and saw all the gardens there and everything, and got to see as much as we could. And then we toured Japan, and we went through on the train through Hiroshima.
You did.
Yeah, and it was devastating. It was just flattened, you know.
Right. Now,
We didn't get off.
okay, let me ask you this. This is 1946. What time of the year was it?
This is like January and February. We're
Early,
in Japan.
early in
Oh yeah,
46.
it was cold.
And of course, the occupation forces were there. And
In Japan.
yes. And this was who you were entertaining.
Oh, certainly.
Army and
Army
Navy and Air
uh-huh,
Force
yeah.
and so forth.
And the Army transported us the first 3 months, and then the last 3 months the Navy transported. I guess that was their way of dealing, you know,
I see.
with the transportation bit. But we were still being transported. Then we went on, we saw that, and the trains were so horrible that we were getting up on the luggage racks trying to keep warm. It was just damp and cold there, you know. We wore military uniforms.
Yes.
They issued you those, you know.
Right.
But still, we were all up there in the luggage racks, you know, trying to stay warm. But it was sad to see that. And then we ended up in Sasebo, and I got sick there, so I didn't get to do a show there. And then we went by boat across to Busan, to Korea. And you talk about cold. Oh, bitter cold.
Getting back to Japan, your impressions of seeing that devastated country, the cities and everything, what did you
Japan,
feel?
that was the only one I saw. See, nothing else was really touched in Japan.
Right.
Just Hiroshima.
Right, well,
You know, and
Tokyo,
Nagasaki, you know.
yeah, and Tokyo was pretty well bombed.
Well, we didn't see that part of it.
Oh, you didn't see
No.
it? I see.
No.
Did you interrelate with Japanese people at all?
No, you know, you couldn't, they'd come up to you and ask you for candy bars or cigarettes or something, you know, but you couldn't communicate because we didn't know how to talk, you know.
No, of course.
I did have some pictures of them, but I couldn't find them, you know.
Okay.
I tried to take a picture.
But I think that's interesting that you did have some contact.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the language barrier.
Well, and then they
that
were
was-
in the hotel there, you know, where we were staying there, you know.
And of course, they wanted cigarettes and candy.
And candy, oh,
whatever.
sure, that's the first thing, you know,
Sure.
that they ask you
That was
for.
so common, I should say.
Yeah.
Were there any big headliners with you and your troupe?
No, I wanted to bring that out. We didn't have any Bob Hopes or
Doris Days or
Doris
anything?
Days or Frances Langford, remember
Oh
her?
my
She was with
goodness,
the
beautiful
troops.
Frances Langford.
Yes,
yeah.
you sing like a
Oh,
nightingale.
she was a darling.
And so we didn't have any stars. No, it was kind of neat because everybody.
Everybody was kind of the same.
Exactly. Well, you know, some of the other stuff, they were the acts, you know. We had a singer and well, you'll see his
Did you
picture. I
have-
got a picture of him roping, you know,
You had stand-up comedian
and
things
singers
like that.
and comedian.
Mhm.
And then we had man, like I said, that did the lariat.
Yeah.
And then we had a man that had two girls that were sisters that did a skating act on a little round thing about this big.
Roller skating.
Roller skating.
How about that?
Yeah, it was really neat. Yeah. And we got along so well. I think when you're all kind of on even par,
Yes.
that it works out real well.
No big heads.
No. Well, I think probably I've worked with a lot of them after that, clubs, but they're all right. But you're nothing to them,
When you went across to Busan, you went on a ship?
Mm-hmm. And horrible. Was that channel?
Yes.
I forget the name of the channel in between.
The straits in between
Oh,
Japan
yes.
Korea.
And oh my God, it was so rough. I got a little seasick, and which was unusual for me. But it was so rough on that. It wasn't a big ship, it was a small one.
Right.
And then we went over to Busan,
Mm-hmm.
and then we traveled Korea, and we saw a lot of Koreans then.
Okay.
Just traveling and walking and freezing, and it was. The land is nowhere where you'd want to be, as far as I would be concerned, It just is, it's not very welcoming.
No.
And we just trudged along, and we were in a Jeep one night. They picked us up and took us to Quonset huts, and we were so cold, like I said, we were issued these outfits, but they weren't real warm. And anyway. So we're in this Jeep, and I said, if I ever get warm again, it's like, I'll never be hungry again.
No,
Oh, it was, and then they dropped us off at a Quonset hut, what they are. Dropped us off at a Quonset hut, and the next morning we couldn't brush our teeth because the ice is frozen.
The water's frozen? Oh my goodness sakes.
Yeah, it wasn't always the best billeting, as you call it.
No, and it was a bad time of the year.
It was so bad. It was
Season.
a terrible time of the year.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, I bet that the military occupation forces there just welcomed you with open arms.
It was worth anything in the world just to do it for them.
And make them smile and laugh.
They would just, you've seen pictures of them when the U.S. tours would go with Bob Hope. But we weren't anybody, but you'd have thought we were the biggest stars in Hollywood, they just welcomed us. Oh, and just so gracious,
I know.
And just would try to feed you everything. One time, this was later when we ended up on, I think it was Guam, and one of the boys stole a ham off the ship and brought it to the beach, and we had a beach party, on our free time because he felt so sorry for us eating that food,
Yeah, right.
And anyway, it was so cute. We're sitting under the big palm trees, and I said, "Oh, I hope you don't get in trouble." But I guess he didn't. But I thought that was really cute.
So.
But that's what I mean, is their appreciation was so great, and they just were so glad to see anybody from home,
I know. Well, I know how you felt about it, because I was fortunate enough to see Doris Day and Jerry Colonna.
Oh, okay.
Bob Hope wasn't in that troop. He'd gone on somewhere, but this was down in the Solomon Islands.
Oh, okay.
During the war.
Uh-huh.
And it was like heaven to have you people there and to entertain us.
Right,
and to
just
sing
around
the
the show.
songs of the times,
Uh-huh.
those wonderful old ballads that we all loved, where, when, and
Yeah,
so
I
forth.
still love them.
Oh, I do too. It's just wonderful stuff. And so I know how you felt. Well, then,
It really made you so happy that you were there and able to do that,
you know that you
Because I had 3 brothers in the service
Sure.
too, made it more endearing to me
you
than ever,
knew that you were making a real contribution. I would
Exactly.
say. How long were you in South Korea?
We were we went up to Seoul,
Oh, you
We
went?
went all the way
To the Capitol?
up to Seoul.
Yeah.
Yeah, by
Right.
Jeep and whatever else they
Oh,
took us
my
in,
God.
you know. And then by that time, I didn't get to see anything in Seoul because I ended up in the hospital from terrible bronchial trouble
Oh.
because of all the cold and everything.
Yeah.
So then I went by hospital plane back to Tokyo. Thank goodness, I thought I would lose my troop, you know.
Yes.
But they were in Tokyo when I got there. They were able to join me up with them, you know.
Now,
Then
were
we-
you a
then-
singer as well
No,
as a
no,
dancer?
No. I wish I would have been.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, then we left Tokyo and we went to Manila. Now there was another place
Oh.
that was bombed.
It must have been terrible.
Oh, we saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the university, it was sad. It was just so sad. I did have some pictures of that I could maybe send over later, you
Yeah.
know.
They
But-
called that the Pearl of the Pacific, you know, before the
Oh,
war.
sure.
Because it was such a beautiful city.
Oh, it was just bomb, you know.
Well, the thing that I remember about Manila, unlike Paris, they didn't make it an open city. And the Japanese, you know,
Mhm.
really destroyed the city
Uh-huh,
because they didn't want the Americans to have it.
right.
But, you know, Paris was protected, and, Manila, they told me that, I never got to see Manila, but they told me it was just
It was.
heartbreaking.
It was, and this was right after the war, you know.
Now, where did you put on the show in Manila?
Gosh, I don't
In
remember.
the stadium or something?
I don't know, probably had the stage set up, you know how they had the stages set up.
I see.
I can't really remember, but
Yeah.
we did, we stayed at a hotel there, I'm sure, you know, something that was half standing or whatever. you know,
Right.
But anyway, but then we went to Guam. I love Guam.
Beautiful island,
Oh,
palm trees, and
Guam was beautiful, but the prettiest island of them all. And Guam was wonderful. We were there for a few days, you know, and
Uh-huh.
did a couple of shows. And but we went to Saipan. Oh, and that we did see some things.
yes.
We were some of the officers were able to get off and take us in a jeep around the island, and we saw where the Japanese had jumped over the cliff. And also where they had, with those what you call them,
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
hoses or whatever,
Right,
in the caves. That just destroyed me.
Oh, yes.
You know, it just was unreal. I mean, you could see all of the fire around it, you know, and everything. I thought, this war is just devastating.
Oh, terrible.
It's just devastating.
It's just horrible.
And that was a beautiful island.
Yes.
It was-
Well, the attitude of so many people, even today, who didn't live at that time and didn't really understand about the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Exactly.
Yes, you know, it was terrible to kill 200,000 people almost, but we saved millions
Exactly.
that would have died.
That didn't affect me, you know, I mean, it was devastating for me to look out of this train
Yes.
window, you know, and see it. But I felt the same way you did because it was still so fresh in my mind, the
Yes,
war.
of course.
And I thought, well, it just stopped the killing is all.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you know, these wars since, they just don't understand what the cooperation that we had
Oh, yes.
in World War II, you know.
That's right.
That's what I said, are you interviewing the factory workers and everything, like Rosie the Riveter? Have you had
Well, we
Rosie?
hope to. We hope to.
Are you advertising this to get,
Oh, yes.
Good.
Oh, yes. It's the libraries do a wonderful job
Oh,
of
this
getting the word
library's
out.
beautiful.
You know, this was started by the Library of Congress
Oh.
in Washington.
Oh, okay.
How long ago, Dennis?
2000.
2000, 6 years ago.
oh, okay.
And then they sent the program to the big public libraries around the country.
Oh, okay.
So that the veterans, like you know, would have a place to go to easily. You wouldn't have to go to Washington to have it done.
Oh, wonderful.
So the public library of Hamilton, Cincinnati, and Hamilton County has just been
I
fabulous.
must tell you, this library,
Oh,
gorgeous.
one of the great ones.
I've lived over there all my life, except for when I was gone, and then lived in Louisville for 11 years, but I have never been in this library, and I'm sorry to say.
Oh.
But we do have a nice library at home.
Well, now
I've got one right around the corner from me now.
Of course. And,
Beautiful new library.
right. Well, I want to get in a tip for you. Next Veterans Day, the 11th of November, put it on your calendar when you get home and make sure that you come to this public library on Veterans Day in the morning. There will be publicity about it. But they have one of the very finest Veterans Day programs you have ever seen in your life.
Right here at the library?
Right here in the library, downstairs in the atrium. They'll get 400 or 500 people. Remember that. We want to get you all here. It's beautifully done. There are different organizations that bring memorial wreaths, and like the Gold Star Mothers.
Oh, yes.
Pearl Harbor survivors and prisoners of war survivors and so forth, and all that sort of thing. They always have a nice speaker, and they have nice patriotic music, and it's a beautiful thing. So be sure and mark Veterans Day.
Have you had any prisoners of war?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
I've interviewed.
Been heartrending.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I've interviewed at least 2. And then, yes, they have, I have learned so much. Of course, I'm a year older than you are, so, you know, we live in the same, we live in the same, I'm older than your brother, you know, he's a kid to me. You know?
I know he is to me too.
But yeah, I was 3 years old when he was born, see?
I was 4.
Right. Yeah, that's right, I was 5, yeah. Well, anyway, do you have any other reminiscences of Japan before we move on back to the Philippines or Guam? No, okay.
Not really.
The train you traveled on, that must have been terrible because we'd been bombing the railroad tracks and everything.
It was horrible. You just came out, and my father was an engineer on the railroad, and I was used to nice trains.
Sure.
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. And some of the windows were out naturally, you know, because of the bombing and everything. And it was just a mess.
How about the train tracks and the bed and everything?
Well, we didn't have any problem.
They had
you know, the distance.
repaired by that time.
I'm trying to think where, I guess we went from Tokyo on that. And I guess that's where we left from. You know, my memory's just fading, you know.
Well,
I've had a
it's
couple of
hard. It's hard to
tragedies since,
remember.
and then,
I hope you wrote down some of your memoirs. Have you written them down?
no, but I should.
Yeah, I know we all should. Yeah.
Well, you probably did, because
Well,
you've got a wonderful memory, and so does Ron.
Well, I've got, I've written some things.
I really mean to do
I
that.
haven't done enough of it yet, but I will. So then you went from Japan to Korea, and then to Guam,
We came back to Tokyo,
Tokyo.
and then we went to Manila.
Oh, then to Manila.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from Manila, we started, that was our 3 months were up, I guess. We hit Okinawa too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you did?
We hit that coming to Japan, yeah, because we hit
Okay.
Okinawa, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember Okinawa. I should remember that.
That was a terrible campaign, too.
Yeah, I know it was.
Oh, it was horrible.
And,
That's when the kamikazes really came into their great force, was during the Okinawa campaign, April of 1945.
now we have it all over again.
I
With the
know,
bombers.
I know.
You know?
It's terrible,
And the
and,
cars.
and you know, today it's so different from World War II. I mean, it's what they call urban warfare now,
You're right.
because they're fighting in cities, and the enemy is embedded in basements and
Right.
concrete structure, which we didn't have too much of before. You
No,
know?
that's what I said, it's so
It's so
different
terrible.
today, you know?
It is so terrible.
And nobody supports war too much anymore.
Well,
We support our boys, but
yeah, I know.
not the issue of war.
Well, there's a whole different philosophy, as you well know,
Oh, yeah.
that we're living with today that you and I did not have to confront during World War. And you're talking about the great spirit of our nation during the World War II,
Oh,
and the people who stayed
people
home,
don't realize it, do they?
worked in the factories and everything.
Yeah.
Now, that's another question I wanted to ask. Did you do any shows in the United States?
No.
It was
No,
all
no,
overseas?
No, it was all overseas. When
Oh,
we
okay.
left San Francisco, and then we started. We didn't do a show in Honolulu either.
Oh.
That was our base to land, and we stayed in Quonset huts there. And we did get to go to Waikiki Beach just to look at it.
Sure,
you know.
beautiful beach.
They were very. People may not realize that, but they were really strict with us.
Yes.
You
I'm
know,
sure.
were allowed to go and what we were allowed to do, you know.
Yes.
It was really structured real well, I will say that.
Well, and that's why it was so successful.
Exactly, and still is today.
Yes.
You still
yeah.
have it, you
Well,
know.
the USO is a great organization,
Oh,
and I support it, and it meant so much to me and my companions.
Well, anybody that was over there and ever had the pleasure of seeing just even one act, if they would come, you know,
Right.
just to have somebody come
Yeah.
and be in that area with them,
Right.
you know, and
Yeah.
perform for them, you know.
Now, how long were you in Manila?
Oh, gosh.
Several days or a
Oh,
week?
yeah,
or-
yeah, probably about a week
Uh-huh.
there, uh-huh.
And
We
you
just
were
did
doing
several
a
shows.
show every day?
No, we did maybe 3.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had some time off.
Yeah, that's what we were allowed to see, those buildings, you know,
Yes.
things like that.
Right.
But we couldn't go out and eat.
Uh-huh.
We were not allowed to eat off of
Off-
the premises,
off
you know, that where we stayed, to eat American food, which was
Yes.
a good thing, because we'd probably all been sick, you know,
Did you,
especially in Japan.
when you were in the Philippines, did you
I got
hear?
to tell you about the paddy wagons.
Oh, yeah, tell us about that.
Oh, you know what a
And you're
paddy
not talking-
wagon is?
You're not talking about a rice paddy.
I'm talking about what they put in them. Oh my gosh, we'd be going along in these Jeeps, you know, they had the canvas, they were closed in, you know. Oh my God, the paddy wagon.
Drunks and everything else?
Oh, they just, all the human feces, you know, and
Oh.
then they use it for fertilizer, and
Oh.
it would be so horrible.
Good heavens.
Oh, we'd all just go.
You were really seeing
That's what we remember about Japan.
you were seeing a slice of life, weren't you?
For the rice paddies, you know.
Oh, my
They used them in
gosh.
the rice paddies, you know.
Sure.
And oh my
Oh,
God.
goodness
In Korea, we didn't, if they had them over there, we didn't smell them as bad, it was too cold, you know.
Right.
It's a real dry cold in
Yeah.
Korea. It's
Yeah.
entirely different than Japan. Japan is a wet cold,
Mhm.
and that penetrates, but I tell you something, it was so cold in Korea. Our poor boys that are on that
Oh, that was-
parallel line, I
that
feel
was
so sorry
terrible.
for them.
That was terrible. Did you, speaking of wagons and so forth, did you get to ride in a rickshaw?
No,
Never did.
but
Okay.
we were by one, you know, we were looking at one,
Uh-huh.
but we didn't get to ride in. You were almost afraid to do a lot of stuff, you know,
Yes.
because if he took off, he may go farther than we were allowed to go, you know, and
Absolutely,
things. So,
you never
but
know.
we saw rickshaws and everything,
Yeah.
and I wanted to get in one
Oh,
bad.
Sure. Well, what else can you tell us about your
Well,
shows and so forth?
not much. We had, like I said, what we had, you know, I brought some pictures if you want to see a few.
Yes, love to see them. I'll hold
I
them.
got tired of ironing because, like I said, they were. Well, they were all curled up.
She ironed them to flatten
It's
them
great.
out. Oh, isn't
This is
that?
one of me, but I don't know. This is me when I was leading the show.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Dennis, can you get that?
That's what I went out in an old wrinkle. We had no irons, you know.
What a beautiful showgirl you were. Look at that, June 1940. Oh, December 47 to June 48. And you were in the South Pacific 6 months.
Yeah.
My goodness sakes, isn't that great?
But
And
that
you
was-
were dancing with that long skirt on?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is truly beautiful.
But it's kind of ruined. Everything was I got flooded out in Louisville and
Uh-huh. And here's the transport plane that you...
that's a plane I rode on the back. This is the plane in the Manila airport that departed for Guam.
How about that? Now, I don't know if you can get that one. Is that too small, Dennis?
I'm sure it
We'll
is.
get scans of it.
Huh?
We'll get a scan of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, you don't
good.
have to take them all.
Well,
I just chose a
He
few.
can, and here is your chorus line, 2, 4, 6,
That's a bunch of
six
us.
beautiful girls. Now here, what is this now? This is many more people.
That's the whole
That's
cast.
a whole troop.
That's a whole troop, Donna.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Do you remember who that guy is there?
That was Marty, I think. Let me see. Marty. I wrote them all on the back.
Good for you.
On the back.
Uh-huh.
Mort Drew, yeah.
Oh, Mort Drew, I remember the
You
name.
do, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, that was him.
Yeah, he was sort of a second banana type of a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a skater, yeah.
Okay, now here, are you getting prepped?
Oh, yeah, we're going, that we're all just standing around waiting to go on. Look at all that mess back there, but we were just,
Isn't that
this
fun?
one was, did I say where we were?
Uh-huh.
We were talking backstage before we went on, you know,
Right.
just a bunch of the girls.
Well, Dennis can scan these for the tape.
Well, he may not want all of them.
Well, I know, but
The
they're
group I
fun.
thought would be interesting.
Now, look, are you one of the cowgirls
Yeah,
there?
that's me, right there.
That's you right
That's
there.
me.
How about that?
We're being lassoed.
They're in cowgirl uniform.
That was
with their
our,
big
that was
hats.
Jack Kavanaugh. He was doing a Western act anyway. We didn't
How
like
about
him.
that? Now, is that you right there?
That's me, yeah, with my tongue hanging.
Look at that. Oh my gosh. Well, those are priceless photographs.
This is a bunch of them. They were sitting on boxes and waiting for a ride.
Oh, yes.
I just brought these to show you our uniforms.
Yes,
There we are in
yes, well, we
uniform.
love to see these.
Uh-huh.
And as I say, Dennis can scan these so that they'll show.
And this was the officers on the ship that we went to Korea on, to
Oh,
Busan.
yeah, sure.
So we got a picture with them.
Okay, there's a full lieutenant, there's a Lieutenant JG. And that's you right there?
Yeah, that's me.
Well, you are some pumpkins, I'll tell you. That's an old-fashioned term. And now this one here, what's that?
Now that was a bunch of us, let's see what I say here. We were in Honolulu, this was when we were in Honolulu in front of our quarters there. This is when we got there in January, before we started our tour from
Okay.
Honolulu. So we were just standing in front of the building.
All
And this
right.
is a picture in the gardens in Japan.
Oh, yes, oh, typical.
Yeah, I
Japanese.
should have brought another one of those, and I should have brought those ruins, but I could send them if you.
And that's you in your uniform
Yeah.
there. Isn't that fabulous? Now you want to ride on the back there,
Yeah.
so it isn't lost
I
forever.
wrote on most of them, thank goodness,
Yes,
or
you
I would
have,
have
thank
never
goodness.
remembered any
I
of them, you know.
know. Well, that's wonderful. That's one of the curses of history. You find a collection of wonderful photographs of the past, and you turn them over and there's nothing on the back.
I know.
Who are
I
they?
know.
Where are they? When was it? You know?
Even the snapshots I take today, I think, I'm right on the back. you know,
Absolutely.
Just one little thing, 06 or something, you know, because
Good for you.
hopefully they'll be able to.
Oh, well, that's just.
But anyway, I wanted to go to the European Theater when I
Yes.
got back, but they closed it.
Right.
Because it was in 47 then, you know.
Right.
In June of 47, so. And my mom said, I'm real sorry now I didn't let you go sooner because I would like to have gone to the European Theater.
Oh,
But anyway, but I was so grateful for such a trip as that from the government.
I should
You
say.
know, I mean, it just, I
Something you never would have done on your own.
never would have ever gotten there. You know, I told my family, I said, it was just so wonderful. The memory, I have so many memories, but so many are clouded because of the rest of your life, you know,
Yes,
kind of
of
takes over and
course.
your head only holds so much, you know.
Well, I bet you wrote letters home.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
want to
I
say
had
what?
one girlfriend that I didn't drink coffee then. And she used to send me tea bags in my letters. She'd send me tea bags. She'd say, I feel so sorry for you because I know you don't like coffee. And of course, the tea was hard. And with all the tea over there, I couldn't get tea.
It was still hard to get.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So anyway, she'd enclose 2 or 3 tea bags, Annie Jo. And she, well, thank you, keep them coming, you know. Of course, the letters didn't come that fast, you know. They'd finally catch up with you, but it was nice.
Were they still using V-mail?
No.
V-mail in those days?
No.
I think they stopped that at the end.
Yeah, probably at the very end.
But that was such an innovative
But it
thing.
still wasn't too fast, you know.
Right. Well, did your mother save your letters and all that?
Well, if she did, I don't have them.
You don't know where they are? Oh, what a shame.
I found a card from Marion that I had gotten. My brother, the oldest brother that was in the Navy. I found a postcard.
Where did he
He
serve?
was in the Pacific too.
In the Pacific
Yeah, he
also.
was all over. Matter of fact, when I went to New York to rehearse, he had duty in New York, he and his wife. So I got to go see them, and then my mother and father came up there to see me before I left.
What a wonderful
To
thing.
go over, they came up to New York, so he was pretty close by, so I got to see him a few times, you know. Because New York was really scary to me.
Oh.
I mean, I was 24, but other than Chicago, I'd never been out of Kentucky. And you
Kentucky girl in the big
it's like
city.
in New York, and I'm telling we'd get out there and go from where they had us at some small hotel, naturally, you know, and where we had to go. Well, you couldn't get a cab because you could walk faster than you could ever get in a cab there. It was frightening to somebody like us, you know. So we never went any place in New York.
Well, that's sort
We
of...
didn't go any place, I mean.
Right. That's sort of reminiscent of that wonderful show, My Sister Eileen.
Yeah, right.
Did you ever see that? You know, 2 little girls from Ohio?
2 little girls from Ohio.
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh. Well, now, how long were you in New York before you left?
We went up there, it was before Christmas, and we
Okay.
rehearsed probably about 3 weeks, and then we left, I think it was right around New Year's Eve when we left, and we were on the train.
Right.
And then I told you, Betty, my friend, brought food to the train in Chicago,
And then...
and we celebrated New Year's Eve on
right,
the
oh, I
train.
bet.
Yeah.
And then you trained from Chicago to San Francisco.
Mhm.
Well, that was a great trip, too. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
to see the country, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it again.
Boy.
My brother and I went cross country on the train.
Yeah.
Oh, we had
Isn't that
such
something?
a good time.
How about that?
Yeah, we did it again, didn't we, Ron?
You guys have had a great life, haven't you? Had great relationships.
We had a wonderful time on that trip, didn't we? Yeah.
Oh, I should say, isn't that wonderful?
He has a daughter that works for the government.
That's what he told me. She's up in Massachusetts.
She was in California at the time, so
Oh,
we
I
went
see.
out there, and then I also went to Massachusetts with him to see her.
Well, I'll tell you, for a Kentucky girl, you really got around, didn't you?
I did pretty good after
Well,
that, didn't I?
at least half of the world, counting the Pacific and everything.
Right,
I know.
Yeah,
Well-
and I tell you, the Pacific, I keep telling people, the Pacific Ocean is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is blue, isn't it?
Yes?
It's blue. You look at the Atlantic Ocean, because I've been to Florida so much, and you look at the Atlantic Ocean, it does not look like
It's
the Pacific. It
I
is
know.
gray compared to the Pacific.
Yeah, well, your brother and I were reminiscing about that because we were out there at the same time, and the massive feeling of that Pacific Ocean. Unbelievable.
Especially to you all on those
Oh, on the
ships.
ships,
I can't even imagine. I won't even go on a cruise.
yeah.
I love water, but
Yeah. Well, now, getting back to your travels in the Western Pacific, did you fly from Japan to the Philippines?
we flew every place.
You flew everywhere
Yeah. The only place we didn't is when we were on that channel
to go to
from
Korea.
Sasebo to Busan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
We were in that jet, but otherwise we were on the planes that had the side seats.
Oh, yeah.
They were transport planes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we sat on the side.
Right.
And one time over the Pacific, I think we were on our way to Guam from Manila, and we hit an air pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bought my mother cloisonne vases in Manila.
Uh-huh.
And as we're going down, all I could think of is my mother's never going to see these cloisonne vases. I didn't think about myself. I said, my mom's never going to see these cloisonne vases.
But you saved them.
I did,
They
yes.
were
We went, we really dropped. I tell you, I thought, we're gone, you know.
Those-
But that was the only bad incident. And one time, we were on it real early in at sunrise, and so I went up and I knocked on the door, you know, and I said, "Can I come in and see the sunrise
Uh-huh.
from the cockpit, you know?" Oh,
Wow.
oh, that was
What a sight.
oh, over that ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
It was unreal. It was
And
unreal.
then-
Beautiful, beautiful place. You know, anybody that can afford it or has money. Of course, everything's so changed now, you know.
Yes, oh yes.
It's all different.
Well, you know, they have those tours now, veterans tours,
Oh, no.
and they have them in the Pacific as well as in Europe. And they go to the different islands in the Pacific where the battles were fought and so forth. You could go back on a tour.
Isn't Eniwetok, isn't that close to Saipan?
No, Eniwetok is in the Marshall Islands.
Where,
And Marshall,
What's the one-
Eniwetok and Kwajalein
okay, but
were
what's the one close to Saipan where they...
Tinian.
Tinian. That's where they released, right in that area, they released a lot of the bombs
Yes.
testing. And when we were there, we went out on they took us out on a boat there, just for a pleasure trip, you
Sure.
know. But they wouldn't go far because of the waters. They
Right.
said they had tested so many bombs and everything down there.
Right.
Okay, and I don't know why Eniwetok came to mind.
Well, and you mentioned Kwajalein,
Yeah.
and those are
I
both,
was saying, I couldn't remember if it was Kwajalein or
Yeah.
Iwo Jima that was the
That's
same
right.
length as the airstrip.
Yeah.
That's where we landed then, Iwo
Yeah.
Jima.
well, Kwajalein and Eniwetok are in the Marshall Islands,
Okay,
and they're sort of a little bit east of Saipan and Tinian. You're looking
yeah,
at the
right,
map.
yeah,
And then, of course, you go north to Iwo Jima,
yeah, right.
because Iwo Jima was part of the mainland.
Yeah, gosh,
part of it.
that is such a
A terrible
beautiful picture.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Did you see have you seen the movie
No,
Flags of Our Fathers?
no, no.
Yeah, that's about the men who raised
I
the
know,
flag
I must see that.
on Suribachi. It's worth seeing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, can you think of anything else, funny stories or anything that you can think of that you?
I probably will when I leave, but now.
How are we doing on time? Got plenty of time.
Oh, well, you don't need to have any extra, do you? But anyway, I just thoroughly, like I told you before, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was so thankful that I could give something back to my country, you know,
Well,
because I thought my three brothers had given everything, you know,
yes, that's right. And you were lucky you got them all back
without anything.
without a scratch.
Yeah,
Yeah. And your brother survived the sinking of a ship.
exactly,
And
exactly.
did you realize that
At the time, we knew
that
nothing.
my ship, I saw his ship sunk? That's another story. He'll tell you about it when you go
Yeah, he's
home.
taking me home, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I saw his ship sunk. I saw the thing blow up. And I had binoculars and I was looking at it. I could see the men going down the lifelines off the San Lo into the water. So that's a whole nother
Well,
story.
when we went to Boston,
Yes,
he was looking for his old captain,
yes,
And
Captain
we-
McKenna.
and we went to the library in his town to
Mhm.
find out where his home was, and she told us that he had died.
Oh,
And anyway, but then she said, "There's the picture," and of course, him living in that city, here was the picture that they gave me for Christmas.
uh-huh.
And there it was, but the tears just started streaming down my face, because, you know, you can tell it, but till you actually see a photo of it, you know, it was just unreal.
Yeah.
My mom I don't think it ever registered with Mother, you know, because my other two brothers, one was on, I don't know which, they never would talk about it.
You know, and that's a sad thing too.
It is sad, and
Yeah.
I think, I used to say, and Ron is left, he should put all that down, because well, it's now in the archives, but I was thinking, my other brothers and my husband would not talk about it.
Mhm.
And I think, please put it on, talk to yourself in a room.
Absolutely.
Put it on tape.
Put it on tape.
Do something, you know, because
Yeah,
those
don't
are...
be bashful about it.
No, because this is very important.
This is very important.
This
and
war was, I hope, the last of any caliber.
Right. Well, it's, I as a historian, and I've worked with Dennis here at the
That is so
library, and we know the value of these great stories that you and your brother have told here today, because when we're gone, you know, that goes with us. And if
I hope the generations to come will look back like we did, because I always liked history, you know, in school. I love geography. I always say, they don't teach it enough anymore. They do not use enough time to teach it.
That's right.
And I really get furious, because after I lost my husband, then I went to work in the library.
Did you?
I worked in the elementary library in Erlanger, at one of the elementary schools for almost 15 years.
My goodness.
I ran it, yeah. I had no other than volunteering time in Louisville at the library there for my children. And so when I came back to northern Kentucky, I met this lady. I went and volunteered time at a local library, right at the elementary library close to my home. And so a position came up at we had four elementary schools in our system in Erlanger. And then we have one high school, one middle school.
Right.
Well, anyway, one of the elementary school position came up, and so she called me. I said, I can't do that. I can't do that, because we had one media center, and Barbara ran the media center, and then we took care of the library. We taught classes. We taught card catalog. I get a little upset. I told the principal they were bringing the computers in, you know. I said, don't bring those computers in this library, because I don't know anything about them. And then I retired.
Oh, and the card catalog was such a wonderful thing.
What do they do when the computers go down? Don't they still have a card catalog?
you hope. Yeah, right.
I just think it's terrible. As
I'm with you.
hard as
I
had to do, like when we went down, we got on the elevator and went down to where you do all the work, you know, and I said, I did all that in my office, you know, wrote the cards to put in the card catalogs, did it all, you know. But what a wonderful thing that I did there, you know.
I know, what a great experience.
Yeah, and I was left with my son, who was only 9, and I was working the same time he did, so it was a perfect opportunity, you know.
You lost your husband when your son was 9 years old?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, it worked out great, and I was off the days he was off and everything, so it was just like a gift, you know.
Oh.
But I did enjoy the library, I can tell you that.
Well, boy, I'll bet they were happy to have you there.
Oh, I
With all
just
the
loved
experience
the kids.
you've had.
And the kids, oh, and I love reading going through the new books. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I just loved it.
What a treat. What a treat, I should say.
Children's books are just so gorgeous, you know, the illustrations and
You know what? You could be an interviewer here at the library. I think you're wonderful.
Well, thank you very
I
much.
think you could, because you have the gift of gab, like I do, and also, you know. But that's good. That's good, you know.
Well, I like to talk.
Some people say, oh.
And I live alone, and I think, boy, when I get out, I really talk. Take advantage.
That's great. The more the merrier.
You're
Huh?
right, gosh, just start me, you know.
Now, do you have organizations that you belong to, or tea parties or anything like that?
Oh, I go, yeah, with
Friends?
Yeah, I go out with friends and
That's
everything.
nice.
I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of babysitting. My son has twin boys, and they're now 10, but I still go and help. I helped a lot with them, and then I helped my other daughter with her. I said, I didn't have much. I wanted to join that Friends for the Library over in Covington, you know, and then they have it in our branch. They just built that beautiful new library around the corner from me, so I go to the library all the time now. And anyway, I would love to belong to Friends of the Library, and I really should. They're having a big book sale there now, so I think I'll go over and join, because the boys are 10 now, so I think I can let loose. At 84, I can have some free time.
Right, you get some free time. Well, that's so important, and I really want to remind you again to come here on Veterans Day.
We will remember
because
that.
this is
Mike, you remembered. Mike,
Yeah.
Mike's the one who
We
remembers.
all remember. Yeah, he can take
He's our
care,
transporter.
he can take care of things.
Oh, I
Well,
haven't driven in Cincinnati since, well, I came back from Louisville in '73 is when I lost my husband.
oh,
And so they had changed, everything up here had changed so much.
yes.
I mean, gosh, the new roads were completed and, and everything. And so I have not driven in Cincinnati since I've been back since '73.
What was the first car you learned to drive in? You remember?
Gosh.
When did you get
I think
the
it was a
driver's license? When
Mercury.
you were
I think,
18?
no, my husband taught me to drive.
Okay,
I had never driven.
uh-huh,
Listen, my father never drove us to school. We walked.
right,
We never had buses. We didn't have, we went in the, and you remember our winters then?
uh-huh,
They were cold.
absolutely.
They were like today out. I mean, that was the whole winter.
Yes,
And ankle socks. With the ankle, and then, well, slacks were never heard of for girls.
no,
We never heard of pants then.
oh, no.
We went with the skirts on and the ankle socks in the bitterest of winters, and I said to my sister, I lost her about in 2004. Anyway, and I said to her one day, I said, did Daddy, and he always had a big car, and I said, do you ever remember Daddy driving us to school? And she said, come to think of it, no.
No. Now, your dad is an engineer on the L&N.
On the L&N.
And did you get to travel on the train?
I went to California on a pass.
On
Went
a
with
pass.
my brother, the oldest brother was a Navy man. He was
Right.
stationed in San Diego.
Right.
So I went with his wife out
How about-
and came back by myself. And I was
Yeah.
only 15.
How about
Came
that?
through across the country by myself.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You're a real pioneer, I tell you, that's just wonderful. Well, listen, if there's anything else that you'd like to tell us, we're certainly eager to hear it. And if you think of anything
I
else.
enjoyed this. I thought I was a little leery because I thought I really don't have that much to say, just dancing and a lie.
Well, that's the main thing.
I probably didn't
and,
say too much, but I can tell you, I had a wonderful time. I never met so many wonderful boys. I just cannot tell you. I gotta tell you this, don't print this. Every time you meet somebody over there, I mean, just talking in a group,
Sure.
they say, now, when you get to San Francisco,
Yes.
you gotta go to the top of the mark and have a drink for me.
Right, right.
Well, I'd have never gotten home.
I know. It had to carry out at the hotel.
I didn't go to the top of the mark because I said, I'll never get home. Every one of them.
I'm sorry you missed that.
Oh, I'll have a drink for you.
I'm sorry you missed that. That was a
Oh,
great
I'm not, I would have been in bad shape.
Yeah, well, San Francisco was a beautiful
Oh, I
city.
love San Francisco.
Oh, my gosh, beautiful
Oh, I
city.
love it. I just
Yes,
love
I
it.
should say. Well, and of course, it was such a, it was a fleet city. It was a Navy city, like San Diego.
Yeah.
Of course, there were a lot of airmen and a lot of soldiers.
It was
But
Navy.
the Navy, it was a Navy town, and oh my goodness, there was always something exciting
Well,
going
were
on.
you drafted now, or did you go in?
No,
on
I volunteered.
You
I went
volunteered?
in right after Pearl Harbor.
Did you?
Yeah, well, they finally took me in January
Yeah.
of '42.
Uh-huh,
And so I was in the Navy for 4.5 years.
uh-huh.
And I served on, I say 3 different ships, actually 2 that I spent real time on. The third ship was just transporting me from one post to another.
Oh, okay.
But I was on my last ship was a sister ship of the San Lo,
Oh, it was?
USS Cullinan Bay.
Oh, okay, okay.
Our ship number was 68, and his number was 63.
And that was your last ship?
That was my last ship, and we almost got it. We didn't get
Yeah.
sunk like the San Lo.
Can you believe that plane?
Oh, unbelievable. I saw the explosion on his ship. I saw the ship blow up and sink.
That is unreal.
Isn't that
And then you
unreal? That we
interview
should-
him.
Here we are,
Interview
yeah,
and
and
talk to him.
the funny thing about it is that I'm not an Ohioan by birth. I was born in Oregon.
Oh, were you?
And I was educated and went to war from Oregon.
Oh, okay.
But I moved here 50 years ago
Oh, you
and
did?
been here ever since.
So
But
you're really an Ohio?
Now, yeah, I've lived longer in
By
Ohio.
heart.
I've lived longer in Ohio than I lived in Oregon.
I can add.
But now, you know, and to meet your dad, under
That
these
is unreal.
circumstances, it is.
That is just something that would never happen again in
Well, when he
a
said
few
that
years.
the first, that he was on a baby flat top, and it was first named the Midway, I knew exactly what it was all about, because they changed the name to the San Lo. Well,
Well, he goes to
Lucille,
his reunions like you do.
yes,
And I am so glad, you know, that he's been able to go.
keep that contact, it's important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's, we're just so lucky to have had you here, Lucille.
Brother and sister.
I want to thank you for coming and volunteering your time and opening up, because people will be able to see this DVD. You know, not only your family, but it'll be on file.
A lot
And
of
if
other people I'd like to see.
if
you
somebody
know,
says,
what
I
other
want to
people-
see Lucille's DVD, they can come and see it, you know?
Whoa.
Oh, boy. And I think there's going to be a copy in the Library of Congress, is that right, Dennis? So that anybody in the other part of the country can do it too, see? This is a wonderful program.
It is,
and
it truly is, it's
so
from all over
important
the
that we
country.
have
How nice that they allotted it to all the
Yes,
libraries, you know,
yeah.
to do this. That
Well,
is-
they realized that they had to do that, because they couldn't get everybody to come to Washington DC, you
I
know?
don't know. I would definitely want my brother to see the memorial there.
Oh, yes.